So if you're a kid that it takes you 3 days to get over a bad play, the tournament's over. That means every game you were negatively affected by your own mindset. What's good in the hood?
Is that the question, or is that are you asking that?
I guess so.
Everything's good.
Nothing, no problems in the world.
There's problems.
No problems in the world at all. Everything's solved. Dalton's here watching. Hey, Dalton. He's back too, eh?
Yeah.
What a pickup. So just so everyone knows, as part of the podcast, Dalton was working with us, and then I'm going to say he took like a leave of absence. He took a leave of absence, we'll call it that, but he couldn't just stay away. He just found his way back here.
Too much fun.
And what a good pickup. What a good pickup for the squad. We're happy to have him.
I was talking about in my leadership class the other day. I think you were there, Dalton. And I was trying to come up with a topic the other day, and we tried to stay on leadership, whatever. But we're talking about. I wanted to talk about like players. How do I say that? Okay, when things don't go well, what people do. Okay, I'll use OHL. Okay, common or NCAA. When things don't go the way you think they should, what do the kids do now?
Cry, quit, leave.
Yeah, or transfer portal.
Yeah, transfer portal. Yeah.
Things don't go right. I don't get the ice time. Like you could be 16 or whatever. You haven't paid your dues. What do kids do? What do players do? Like it's immediate. And sometimes the agents play a big role in that, or sometimes parents do it because it can't be unfair, right? Or it's almost like you can't earn your stripes. So trade me. It's like, okay, so is the grass going to be greener? Whatever. So I wanted to talk about stuff like that. But I was driving in, I changed gears, and I said, okay, how can I change gears quick? So I went into, you know what? Every year I like to show the kids, because I did a lot of studying of Navy SEALs, and I read this book from the Commander McCarver, William H. McCarver. H. Imagine using just your initial as your name. McCarver, I think his last name. Anyways, doesn't matter. And the book is called Make Your Bed. And have you read it?
No, but we've talked about it. But.
Okay, so Make Your Bed's a book about the size of my iPhone, a little thicker, a little bigger, like not even close to the same size. No, so but it's a really quick read, and he talks about 10 things that will help you have success in life. And he goes Navy SEAL side, and the first thing is make your bed. But before that, I forgot when I played the video, and it's a short video, and then I talked about how it applies to hockey and stuff like that, obviously. So, but I forgot in his speech, and anybody, if you get a chance to listen to this, it's on YouTube. It's called Navy SEAL Talks Make Your Bed, and it's really good. So, but the book is even better. And when I bought it, I left it on the coffee table for my kid to read. And so you got to read it. So make my bed. I want to read that. Anyways, he read it several times. Anyways, my point to that is, I don't know what the point was, is I talked about this with the kids. And the first thing, that's what I was going to say, is he says, if you want to change the world, he introduces that every person roughly in their lifetime averages to about 10,000 people that they know. They're going to know 10,000 people in their lives. Meet 10,000 people. Is that a sentence?
Yeah.
Okay. 10,000 people in your life. And you can make a difference in people's lives. You can change the world. So when people hear that, like, and a lot of people that listen to the podcast will probably go, okay, you're going to change the world, eh? And then so after that we showed the video, I talked to the kids. I said, okay, I want to address that. I forgot that part was in the speech, meeting the people and changing the world. It only takes one person. Touching one life could change multiple people. Or affect many people. So, okay, I said, now you guys might not believe what that means or how it is. I said, but I just reflected on, I said, for myself, when I started my business, I didn't have any intention of being a good person. No, I know. No, there was no philanthropic thoughts to it. I was in a space where I wanted to get something done. I was not miserable, but I knew I wasn't happy in my business world, like selling office equipment, banking or whatever, right? So I got back into hockey, and I did it strictly like I wanted to make money. I knew I would be good at doing something. But in the act of doing that, it was my passion. And what I always say to people is like, what do you do for a living? I'm a skills instructor, development coach. I'm a hockey guy. I train NHL players. I train OHL players. That's what I do. But I always say it's my vehicle to do what I really do, and that's affect people's lives in some way. Okay, Andy, but that's actually what I do. And it might sound like kind of silly or like at what level. So I was telling the kids, I go, what happens is you start caring about people because like you can train 1,000 people that play hockey, but how many people are going to make a living or get to their dreams in hockey? That's my point. So I realized that fairly quick is like, okay, I could really focus on, there's stick details on the ice, but that's not going to affect your life unless you're just like a good player and it makes money that way. But how do I affect people differently? And my natural ability is to talk to people, care about people, try to get the best out of them. But yeah, and maybe you're not going to play in the NHL, but maybe you're playing AA hockey. But if you work really hard, the message, if you work really hard and do these things and set a goal, blah, 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 and they get to AAA, you've affected their life. Because now they learned something other than just hockey. They've learned how to maybe, I set a goal. I feel proud of myself. I got up and I worked out. I feel proud of myself. And you maybe for the first time in their life, my wife was saying this to me the other day. She goes, a lot of times when you talk to people, it's the first time and maybe the only time they ever hear that kind of stuff. So you affect people's lives. So I do remember. So I was saying to the kids, I said, want to see an example? Here's an example, boys. Eric Palazzolo, you right there, guy across from me. I've known him since he's 7 years old, right? 7 years old. He was just a kid at my skating with me, good kid, smiling, happy to be there. Work with him a bit. 16 years old, such a good kid. You want to work for me? And unbeknownst to me, you were so excited.
Oh yeah,
because I was like your hockey guy, like Coach Andy's like the guy, man. Yeah. And you would have like done anything. Job. Yeah, dream job, and you work hard, and you're doing a good job, and now you're 30 years old, and you're not my boss, but you're my boss now. But I told the kids, I said, that's how if you affect someone's life, they're going to be in your life for a long time, and based on our conversations, I've had a profound, I've had an influence in your life in a good way.
100%. Yeah.
And what's beautiful is he is a go-to guy. I'm saying he because he's here, but you have a profound influence on my son's life. He talks to you. He trusts you. He knows you. You're one of his go-to small circle of people that if there's good news, Eric's going to know. If he needs help with something, Eric needs to help me. So that circle of life, right? It's gone down. Like there's at least 3 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we go right here across the room. I told the kids this. I said, we got Dalton. I knew him. I knew him when he was about 8 or 9 years old as well. And I said, look, he's 30 years old as well, working. And with him and his brother and his family, there's things that we've done together that there's influence, right? So if I just teach you hockey and not care, then there's not really a purpose except for hockey. So you can change the world, like truly, right? So if you have my attitude, if that's good, and you start doing that to 2 or 3 people, and you start doing that to 2 or 3 people, then there are generations of people that you've affected the life of, and you can make the world and hockey world a better place. I was saying to them about Dalton at the time, right? And I if I'm offending you and your family, no. Good, okay, because you're idiots. No, if I know I'm not offending your family. This is a compliment because we all come from humble beginnings, right? We really do. So you guys kind of live kitty corner from us, and I gave Dalton an opportunity. They're just wonderful people, just super people, and they had 5 kids, and they're running around gymnastics, hockey, baseball, gymnastics, like just all over the place. So when these little guys, so one beautiful thing. How did they affect our life? Well, when Charlie was a little guy, I didn't know them yet. He was just a little guy, little blonde hair, like didn't know how to skate. We'd walk by their house, and there was this beautiful sheet of ice on the front yard. And Charlie was just licking his lips, and I'm like, "Don't look, don't look, don't look. I don't want to take you here." But it was awesome. And then got to know them a little bit, and they invited Charlie to skate that's all Charlie wanted to do. Could we go to Randy's house? Could we go to Randy's? That's his dad. Could we go to Randy's house? And I'd be, yeah. So me and Randy would drink beer. But that's, a lot of people say, where did Charlie get his start in hockey? It's like, and I joke, but I'm being honest. I give Randy Langlois all the credit. He went to his house every day and Randy let him skate. You know what I mean? Affected his life. So Randy could be, maybe you call him his skills coach. But then the kids, the parents are spending so much money on hockey, they couldn't come to my camps. They couldn't come to the gym like all the other lucky kids or fortunate kids were able to do. So how can I affect your life? Like, am I going to charge you every time you come in? And they couldn't get to the gym and it didn't work out. So I made them a deal one day. I said, if you guys get up at 6:00 in the morning on these days, I'll have some tools like weights and stuff that we can do some workouts on my cement pad. And guess who showed up? They did. Right? So if you get out of yourself, you can actually make differences. And that goes a long way. And you remember that. We remember the things that we do for each other, right? So it makes things a better place. And it's a sappy little podcast today, but it's the truth, right? And then anyways, make your bed. It gives you principles on how to have success. And he uses the examples of Bud's training and all this stuff. Awesome. Everyone should listen. Read the book. It's about $3. Order it online. Awesome. Watch the video. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That was beautiful, man.
That
was beautiful.
No, but it's true.
It's true.
You know what? Because like hockey players and guys and whatever, or maybe some people listen and go, okay, there you change the world, but you change a lot. Like I would say that for coaches and parents, it's like it's not just about the hockey. Like it really isn't, because even if you are a really good hockey player, you're still going to be 45, and hockey's done. You might be in it still, but you can make a difference. And so one of the things, wow, here we go.
Yeah, you're on one.
Here we go, right?
Let her rip.
So one of the things is I was saying to the kids is like, you love this. Is it when this book is sitting on the freaking desk every day in front of you when you're watching TV or you're loafing around, you see wake my bed, and you see dad reading a book, talking to people like this all the time, right? And so or Dalton Prout calling me when he's playing for Calgary saying, I don't know if I should be in the NHL anymore, and I have a talk to get him on the other side of that or whatever. He sees that leadership thing, not saying I'm the biggest leader in the world, but when he sees all that stuff and he's hanging around Dalton Prout and guys in the NHL and the OHL, are you shocked he's a captain? Right? So like I was saying that to the kids, it's like you might minimize reading a book. I know it's not maybe the funnest thing, but leaders read books. Leaders, like one of the biggest indicators of success as a athlete is visualization. Maybe visualize. Like success leaves clues. So is it a shock that someone, when you're around people stiffen up and they tighten up and they try to be a little bit better? Because you demand it. You're given that. They want to be like you. They want to be like you. They want to be like us. Not everyone. But they want to be like us.
Yeah.
So like Dalton loves this. If you plant corn, you get corn.
Attaboy, Dalton.
Right?
Yeah,
you plant corn, you
right.
get corn. So if that book sitting on there, that's all you can hope for your kids is you leave a little things out there, and you hear the talk, and then it just some of it sticks. And then at some point, and the great thing that I loved about my kid and like you guys is that you repeat things that maybe you didn't even need to absorb or mean to absorb, right? All of a sudden something comes out and you go, oh, right? So, and I've seen that in my kid's life where situations have come up and he remembers. And one of the biggest thing, I think, sorry, this will be the last of this.
You keep going. You're doing
I know,
fine.
but it's all about me right now. I don't necessarily like it.
I don't think it's about you at all.
No,
actually.
I know, but I keep going, man.
Yeah.
Like this is okay. So anybody that listens and watches, this is exactly how I am most of the time. We get on it, we get passionate, like honestly, right? So one of the biggest things I was really proud of the kid for was one of the kids over the last year or two, whatever it was, they had a rough day at the office on the ice, right? And they got reamed and ripped and tears and all that stuff. That happens. Like, hey, hockey players are tough sometimes, but it happens because your emotions are in it and your feelings are hurt and you're young. And kid was having a hard day, and Charlie went up to him and said, give you some advice my dad told me. And this was a message that I told him, but I think Dalton used it on me, Prout. And he said, when a coach is ripping you and telling you, and they use a tone that's like you're just awful right now, because that's how it comes across a lot of time, or they use a tone that's really, really nice and they're patting your back or whatever. It's don't listen to the tone, listen to the message. And he told this kid that, and it kind of helped him. It's like, okay, he has to have a tone to get the message across, but it's like, if he says to you, you need to, I give you a big hug and say, you just need to back check harder, son. You, okay, and pats your back, then you feel, okay. But if he throws something at the garbage can, kicks the garbage can, and says, "You're not gonna get ice anymore unless you back check. If you want ice, you need to work your ass off and blah 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 blah." Throw another garbage can or a stick or something like that. It's the same exact message. Just back check, and then it's helpful, right? So if you have that, that's a good thing to know. That's a good thing to know when someone comes in steam. It's just might be to motivate you, but just listen to the message. Listen to the message, not the tone. So that's it. I'm done.
Well done.
I'm gonna go home now.
Do you need a drink? God,
Yeah, I need a bio
freaking
seal.
parched.
Yeah,
That was great. That was great. I think all that
we
leaks
can
into,
do this for hours. By the way,
Oh, I know. Well, we have to purposely shut it off. We never get anything done. I do that. So as you were talking, I was kind of thinking about how, like, your trickle down effect to me, and then kind of things that I do every day that kind of lead into that. And so, like, the example I always think of is like little stuff, like when we're away at tournaments or whatever. Often, if we're staying in the hotel, we eat our team meals in the breakfast room of the hotel, and that's one time where I enforce those little things like you're talking about, like clean your shit up, push your chair in. It should look the same as when we got here. Say thank you to the hotel staff for letting us use the facility, whatever, because you don't know what at what point you might cross paths with someone else here, even on your own team. Like if one of your buddies on your team, maybe you go off and do your thing, they go off and do their thing, and in 15 years they just remember, hey, that kid, he was a good teammate, and there's an opportunity or whatever. And so that's what I try to do to influence them as well. And then hopefully one day, like I was talking to one of the girls the other day that she does some of our social media stuff, and I'm like, man, like you're really good at this. Like Dan's been complimenting on the stuff you've been doing. Like you might walk into a job one day if you like keep doing it. And she's like, oh my God, really? Like and whether she wants to do that or not is irrelevant. It's just the fact that you never know how your behavior is actually going to impact your future. And then as the person that you can influence somebody's future, like everything that you do, they're watching. They watch how you conduct yourself. They can sniff out bullshit. They can tell if you're going to do the things that you say you're going to do. And so I try to take all the stuff that you just kind of went on about, like, and do that every day also. And that's a lot to do with your kind of, I mean, it comes off from my parents as well, but for you, for sure, we're a guy that did that. Yeah.
Mostly me.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. So I said to you this morning, before I talked to you this morning on the ice, and this is the, you plant corn, you get corn thing, right? but I was telling Rich, who is one of our coaches, and we've talked about Rich, and I talked about you to Rich today, always behind your back. No. So what we've been saying about Rich being a coach here, he's a really good coach. X's and O's, like he's very, very good, very, very good. And I'm really impressed with his coaching. And then there's pieces of his coaching that you and I talked about. Okay, I'll talk to him, and just being around, it'll change because he come from a junior coaching. He won a championship in junior. So he comes to this level, and the mindset, he had to figure it out, right? Coaching, when you coach junior, it's about keeping a job and it's about winning. When you come to a youth hockey, is it about winning and keeping a job? Yes and no. There's a happy medium. You want to win, but it's about developing players and stuff like that. And I saw a shift in how well he's been doing, and it's like a major shift. And I don't know if he even knows, because I think I might have told him, but I don't know if I did, but I will.
Maybe not even. It might not even be explicit, right? Yeah.
Right, but his improvement, I'm not saying as a coach, but in a different area of his coaching has been like, I'd say 180, right? And I was saying that to Rich this morning about your coaching. Like I was out with your practice today, and I was watching you on the bench the other day and stuff. And your coaching has gone from, because you haven't been a coach for a long time, you're kind of thrown in, now I got a coach. So you've been coaching, and your coaching has gone from being, okay, let's try this. What do you think, Andy? Now because you're smart and you're organized and you care, and that's your attributes. But because you've done all that, now your coaching and your practices are totally different and more purposeful and less teaching. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's more to the point, and nothing really drags on. It's like, okay, let's go, and it's like almost, I think, the give a shit, like, not give a shit meter. The barking is not much because you don't need to, because you teach well and the practices are executed really well. They're learning gameplay, yet you know that they're U18s and they're not perfect, so mistakes are going to happen and you address it the right way. And again, to put that full circle, does it happen by accident? Does it happen? No, it's together, and we work together, right? And we're taking all the information the right way. And in 3 months, well, I wouldn't say, yeah, I would say 3 months that we've been together this year, there's a markedly different level of coaching between the two of you, and all for the better. And then we have the girls coach, Mary, so she comes and hangs around and picks up different, like a lot of different things. And people are, rising, as they say, the rising tide raises all ships, right?
Yeah,
So
well said.
it's good. And sometimes when you look at the wins and the losses, or a mom and dad complaining, or a kid coming in with an issue or stuff like that stuff can kind of cloud how well you've done. And it doesn't always show up in the wins and losses column, even though our win-loss columns through our three teams have been excellent. Sometimes that's not an indicator of success. And I think what we would, you look at how the kids behave, how they act, how they've changed over the last year, and especially this 3 months. It's awesome. It's incredible, and I think that's a lot. So, you talk about getting in environments and being around the right people. That's what makes me proud about this. And I think my old company was the same. People were proud to be part of it. And I think right now we're creating a pride that, first of all, what helps in building pride is this logo. Like, I'm very proud to work for the red and white logo called BioSteel. I love how it's run now that Dan took over. And just moving forward, we have pride, and it's the best. So, like, now you have a good environment where you're seeing people grow, and especially for the kids that want to understand that it's not just about scoring a goal or getting a good pass. Like, there's more to it than that. It's very special, very special. And I look at OHL teams, right, or different teams, organizations. Why do some teams get, like the London Knights? They have a standard of, like, the London Knights, like the London freaking Knights. Like, if you play for the London Knights, it's the best team in the CHL. That's what has been said.
Yeah, it's a reputation. Yeah.
That said, I'm not saying it in a bad way. That's because of the wins and losses. Is the culture the same? No idea. I haven't heard bad, for sure. And I'm sure the winning culture, there's a lot of good, or mostly good, but I don't know that side. But I know for just to flip it a little bit, the Guelph Storm, where my son plays, they've had, I'm going to call it, like, some luck that was not the best, that didn't go their favor. But if someone ever, especially if George Burnett, Corey Stillman are there, if anybody said, like, would you want your son to play in Guelph, I'd say, I don't care if they're in last place for the next 10 years. Yes. It's
just because
awesome.
of the environment. Yeah.
No lies, no shit. Your 16, 17, 18-year-old son will be taken care of properly, but as an adult. And you're going to learn and you're going to grow. And it's like one of the greatest places in the world, I can say, from a culture standpoint. And that starts from George.
Yeah. Top down.
Yep.
Yeah. Top down. I agree. I think it's important that you have somebody that can set the tone in whatever way, because that's what starts the train of influence, right? Because even I think about it when we go have our staff meetings with the academic staff. It's like, I like things to be done a certain way, and I have a certain approach of, like, management style, let's call it. And so they all pick up on those signals 100%. So if I don't have my shit dialed in to make sure that they understand that there's expectations and there's standards and there's things that we need to do to, achieve a certain level of I don't know, whatever the word would be, status, reputation, whatever the word is, then
Culture.
yeah, culture. Yeah, like you have to be, that's the word,
Yeah, I know.
culture. Then there has to, it has to be coming from the top. Like that's what has to happen. That's the only way. I don't see it's not going to happen bottom up because you run into too many issues. And our kind of industry, the bottom is the kids, right? It's like you have to lead the kids. You have to show them and teach them and help them to learn. And I notice that a lot with my teams. It's all in the detail stuff. And kind of to go back, like talking about the book you're talking about, right? Make your bed. Also, it's funny you say that too, because I literally do that every morning. I do that in the hotel room. I wake up in the hotel room, I make the bed first
I
thing
know.
right away. Yeah, right away. Make the bed first thing. Because I forget who it was that was talking about it, but I don't know if maybe it was a Jordan Peterson thing. I don't know. But it was just like, at least I did that today. You know, at least I did that today.
Did not
like,
one off your task.
yeah, it's just a discipline. It's like a discipline marker. It's a start the day off doing having a good habit marker, like that kind of stuff. And so I always just start with that. And it's like, okay, I did that. And that's, that kind of mindset is what bleeds into everything. That actually kind of sort of segues into what I wanted to talk about, if we're good to go there now.
Yeah, I'm done.
Are you sure?
I'm out of air.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about, we had a couple of the teams come off tournaments the last week and 2 weeks. We have a couple more coming up. And the tournament stuff is just a big part of youth hockey in general. It's a big part of the development process in general. And talk, at least with my team, because we do all of our team travel and stuff together, like almost like a junior team. There's a lot of teaching opportunity, whether it's hockey or not, kind of related to what we were just talking about. And so taking the opportunity to capitalize on those moments is super important, at least for me, the way that my style is. But then on top of that, you're there trying to do a job and you're trying to win and you're trying to have a good outcome. And those are the weekends that kind of shape how things are going to go. And it's like for the season. So I would say I was just saying this to you, you could kind of put like playoffs into that as well when you get into like an extended series where it's a lot of hockey in a short period of time. And so for us, we lost in the semifinals at Silver Stick this past week in my team. We lost 1-0 in overtime. And I was just kind of reflecting on that. It was actually really cool. Little context. It felt, while we were at the tournament, like we were the team to beat at the tournament, which was cool because that's the first time for our teams I've actually felt that. Like we were kind of favored, I thought. And maybe it was just my perception. Maybe that's not 100% right, but that's kind of how I felt. And I could feel that vibe around at the tournament, which was cool because now it's like, okay, we're getting a little bit of reputation. Like we're getting a little bit of a name and people are understanding.
Little traction
yeah,
out there.
It's gonna be a hard game if you play us and all that stuff is fine. But then as the tournament goes on, like things happen. Like things start to happen and it disrupts the team. So I was reflecting back to our first tournament in Markham where Woody broke his collarbone, which is like huge deflate the balloon moment for the team because we were all hyped up and firing. We've added a couple more players since then that were really good players. But at the time, it's like he was our leader, our go-to guy that can really drive the direction of the team. And all of a sudden, boom, he's out. So now in a tournament where we feel like, yeah, we're going to be good and we're going to go on. We ended up 0-4 that weekend, right? And how fast that can change. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the dynamics around just the tournament setups, why it's important and all of that kind of stuff. So just, again, starting just general thoughts about the tournament weekends and anything about like whatever you think, the grind, why it's important, why it matters, any of those kind of thoughts just generally, and then I can kind of direct us as we go.
Yeah, well, tournaments in youth hockey, it's why it's important is because it's the greatest thing in hockey, right? You're getting to play in a tournament, you get a whole bunch of games piled in one weekend. It's the greatest thing in the whole world. When I was a kid, going to a tournament was the greatest thing. You stay in a hotel, you're with your buddies, you get to compete over and over and over again, and that's number one. It's the funnest thing in hockey. I mean, I don't know too many guys that I played with that would ever say, "Ah, shit, we got another tournament." Right? It's the best. So that's good. The next thing is that you get to maybe play teams that you've never played, which is an interesting experience, right? You get to play, if you play from, okay, we live in the Windsor, Detroit area. So maybe if you go to a tournament that's on the east side of Toronto, you're playing some Ottawa teams that you wouldn't necessarily see. So you get to see new players, you get to see different types of players, different teams. You're playing teams you might not know a whole lot about. With the my teams, I think it's called, and those other apps. You can have a kind of a look now,
Mm.
live barns and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that
right,
stuff. A
right,
little
yeah,
different,
yeah.
but it's the unknowns, right? You hear about this guy. Maybe you've heard about this guy and you're like, okay, man, this guy or this team's supposed to be really good. So that's the anticipation of that. Teaches you how to um, uh, over prepare, maybe under prepare, all those elements of surprise, and then it's the experience of going through that, right? So those are all different things, and then from an individual player standpoint, what we all want to do when we play is want to find out, yeah, number one, how good is our team? Can we beat these guys? And it'll test your mental, your not mental toughness, but your if you get in your own head as a team or as a player,
Yeah, like some
right? If you're playing the
resilience.
Toronto
Yeah.
Marlies or the JRC, do you go in there and say, well, we're going to lose this one? Or do you go in there with the attitude like, okay, we're going to find a way to win, or we're going to find a way to compete, even though the population is 10 times the size? You hear about these superstars. As a coach, right, and players, how do we find ways to beat them or to compete with them? And those are different types of wins, right? It might not be a 2-1 win, but it might be a 2-1 loss. That's a win, right? Because you surprise them, and then it's playing through injuries. It's playing through being tired. It's going to bed at the right time and eating the right things, and you learn these lessons as you go. If you're awake, and alive, and you're trying to learn.
Yeah. So if we start like, um, I guess my first question is, at what age do you feel like preparing for tournaments, how you're behaving between games, what you're eating, what time you're going to sleep, and all that stuff? When do you feel like that actually starts to really matter? Like, kids should be paying more attention to that. Coaches should be starting to mention it, because in my mind, it's like, okay, when you're young, it's like tournaments are like fun, right? We get to go, like you said, go to the hotel. We want to go in the pool. We want to play mini sticks. We want to do all that. So when does it become a little bit more business-y, let's say, where it's like you need to make sure you're taking care of yourself because of how much of a grind it actually is? And then what does that process actually look like or mean? If we go into detail a little bit more about that, for once we hit that age, what does it look like trying to make sure that you're doing the right things to be ready for the grind through the weekend?
Yeah. So I think there's extremes. I think if you're coaching a U8, U9, U10 team, that's no, being honest, and you're saying you guys need to get to bed, you need to eat solid, and you treat it like you're in the Navy SEALs. He's probably not going to have much fun. You're defeating the purpose of a tournament. But on the flip side of it, I think it's important if you're a coach. It's about like planting corn again, right? It's about, okay, guys, if you want to be, that's how the message should become across. I think is, okay, guys, we're going to try here, win the tournament. I want you to have a lot of fun. But remember, when we get ready for tournaments or any game or in practice, and you do this on a daily basis, if you want to improve your performance, if you want to be a hockey player, make sure you get to bed on time and teach them why that's important. Teach them why eating healthy most of the time is important. Teach them that preparing is somewhat important, and then go have fun. So if they hear that from U8, U9, U10, U11, U12, the message is getting there, and some will, some won't. So what? Some will get it, some won't. And then you have parents involved, so that could change a lot of things too. But then when you get to, like, I would say, I don't like to put a number on it, but you always have to understand the audience that you're speaking to, right? So if you're coaching a double or a triple B team, I don't know if there's, but I'm saying, like, if you're a low level hockey where kids are there to have fun, like, you can't speak the same language as you would to the London Knights, right? Because that's different. So you have to meet the kids at their level, and then I would say bring it up a little bit, because kids, it's about, again, touching lives. It's about making people a little bit better. So if a kid learns that, oh, if I prepare, I became better, even though you might have, you're not a big team, big tournament, whatever. If they have some success, they've succeeded, right? So that's a good thing. You want to teach them the principles of success the best that you can without going overboard. Once you start getting to, like, I would say, and I don't even know if I like saying it this way, but once you get to a point where kids are trying to become getting to the next level, which would be from, like, the next level for after midget, or what is it called? U16. The next level at that is people would like to jump. Like the next level would be getting your scholarship or getting to the OHL, CHL, or something like that. That's for people that are very serious. So then again, you're meeting people at their own needs. If you're building a team, that could be addressed. I want a team that wins. I want a team that develops. Which one do you want, or do you do both? If you're building a team to succeed and only win, then you have a different tone than right. Then it's all about winning. That's a different talk, different type of attitude than the team that's developing, but you get it. So you got to figure that part out. And then, let's just say it's a 13, 14-year-old kids are I want to be a hockey player. I think it's reasonable to be a little bit more demanding. Now you have to also read your team. And if you're the guy you just like to play hockey, but you're pretty good, but I could tell you don't care. What I would try to do to you is to get your why and see if there's everyone says they want to be hockey players, but see if they're actually committed to it. So see if they want the help, and then you talk to them that language. So, anyways, I'd say 13, 14, you start, and then the message now because you still, as a coach, as you know, your responsibility, whether we're a development team or a winning team, your responsibility as a coach wearing that jersey or that jacket or whatever it is you're wearing, your responsibility is to do your best and to try to win, right? You wouldn't be doing your due diligence if you weren't, if you were just mailing it in. And part of in that is motivating or making demands on your kids that are maybe above what they would expect, right? Because it'd be no different than your dad if you got a 90, 97 in math when he knows you could have got 100 or you could have got 98. He's going to push it. You should get 100. And that makes you push a little bit, right? So getting the message around there, like I would say that 14, 15, like that's when it starts to become real, and that's fair. To have the tournaments and have expectations and curfews and stuff, it's good discipline, and I think it's reasonable at that age to expect it because you're choosing to be on a team that it matters. Like right now, it matters to all of us. So you got to toe the line a little bit, and I'm going to push it to this level instead of this one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I notice with my guys, because I'm actually there when we're like at the hotels, I'm with them on the bus during the travel and all that stuff. It's trying to get them to understand the importance of those details and why it can matter as you get down the stretch. Because I mean, for us with tournaments, it's almost like it's even like a more of a grind than a playoff push would be because of just the volume of games in the short amount of time. And so it's a good test to try to understand how those little habits will influence the later games, because it doesn't matter that much at the start, but by game 3, 4, 5, 6, that stuff is going to start to leak in, because a lot of times the difference between who wins and who loses, I've been saying this to my guys a lot, when the teams are good and all else is equal, a lot of times the team that wins is the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. And how do you make the least amount of mistakes? It's, well, you want to make sure you have your full lineup, that's for sure, because when guys are hurt and out of the lineup, that changes things, and then more holes can open up. But then too, it's are you hydrated? Are you recovered? Are you eating the right way? Is your digestion good? Is your sleeping good? Is all that stuff in line so that you just have a little bit more gas in the tank than the other team that you're playing? Because assuming you're in a competitive tournament where there's good parity, at the, you get to semifinal games, final games, you guys are all kind of the same, right? In terms of your ability, your level of play. It should be a good competitive game. So how are you going to make sure that you win? And you can't make sure, but you can give yourself the best chance. And the best chance is making sure that those habits are kind of locked in. And that goes to, some of the coaching stuff too. Like for me, I try to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence with the amount of time that I have to prepare, understand the team that I'm playing, understand a little bit about what they might do. So while I'm doing that, the players got to make sure that they're doing their part, and you want to make sure that the things you can control are, mentally preparing, physically preparing, making sure that you're recovered. And those things will give you the best opportunity when you're in those games. And that stuff is going to translate to like good long playoff stretches, right? Because when you play junior or you go to a higher level than that, that's the shit that impacts the outcome. Like somebody gets hurt That's huge. Like, so for us, we lost in the semifinal. We lost 1-0. One of our top guys hurt his shoulder the game before, so he was out and couldn't play. Huge hole. And then Woody was still out, couldn't play. Huge hole. And then other guys are banged up. Like another one of my D had a shoulder. Another one of my forwards had a shoulder problem. Right? Guys are hurt and banged up, and that is going to impact what happens in the game. So if you don't do everything that you can to try and make up for that gap, that's, I think, what ends up being the difference a lot of the times, whether you're successful or not. So for our guys coming up, like I was thinking about our U16s, they have for the Marlies tournament, that's a big one coming up. They have Waterloo before that, but the Marlies tournament is like another marquee big tournament. They have a good opportunity where they can move on into what would be the round of 16, right? So once you get to that level, all the competition is here now, right? All the competition is here. So what's the difference going to be, you know? And as you get going up, they're young enough still where like the top teams are going to be the top teams typically, but you can give yourself a real good chance if you're in the ballpark, you know? And a lot of times it's going to come back down to those things. So I always notice whenever we do, again, with our team, because we do the travel, we'll stop at the rest stops, right? We stop at the rest stops. What are the kids going to buy, right? What are they going to buy when they go into the, if they want to go to the Tim Hortons that's there, they want to go into the little, whatever you call convenience area that's there. A lot of times that's still, even with, and this is the thing that's I find interesting. I'm their coach, right? And I'm not saying I'm Joe, like nutrition guy, but like I'm pretty serious about nutrition and they know that. And it still doesn't matter because sometimes they'll still go buy whatever they're going to go buy because that's what they want to have right now, you know? And so that's where you still see that they're kids and they have things to learn still. They have discipline to learn. They have habits to learn. And there's teaching moments around that kind of stuff. And so when those opportunities present themselves, again, I'm not a loser about it. I'm not like going and chirping them about everything they eat all the time. But there's moments where those things can happen because it will affect them later in the weekend. It will affect them. We bring BioSteel every single weekend. We have the tubs of BioSteel there. And they need to be reminded. It's not just like, man, which is so crazy. Like, man, if we had BioSteel when I was like at PowerTech, for example, like back in the day if I'm like 17 or 18 when I was working on the gym there, if there's BioSteel that I can access that's just there, I don't know, like I don't think I would have too much, you know? And it's like you got to remind them. Like some of them run out of water. Like how do you not have water with you? You know? And so there's a lot of opportunity to help them with these habits because it will be proxies for kind of down the line when they get into harder games and playoff runs in junior and all of that stuff. It actually does matter because it can give them an advantage now. I know it's kind of a long spiel, but are there key things from your perspective for these kids to prepare? It could be any of the things I said too, that you would say would be like particularly important to focus on through like a tournament weekend when things are kind of a lot of games in a small amount of time.
Say it again.
So let's say if you're a team where you know you're getting at least 4 games in a weekend. So within a 48 out, like a Friday, Saturday, you know that you're getting at least 4 games. It's a lot of games. What would you say are like the key from the player perspective? What are like some of the key factors without information overload so that it's actually tangible to focus on for the players? So you could play 4 games. You might play 6. You might play 7 if there's a quarterfinal within 3 days. What are some of those key things that you would point out, age appropriate, not information overload, that's actually tangible, or from the parent side that they'll actually do, where it's, because that's the other thing is a lot of times it's parents that are calling the shots on things and they don't know either. They're not actually sure what the most important things are, right?
Yeah, I think like just obviously one of the hardest things to do is because you're excited and you got your buddies around you the whole time is to get to bed.
Yeah.
It is number one. You have to get your sleep. You know, and you kids, some of them will get 3 hours of sleep and have a great game, and they'll say, "Yeah, that's a stupid thing. I played well, right?" But get your sleep. That's number one. Get some sleep. Get to bed at a decent time and understand why you're there, right? And then number 2 is obviously eat optimally. Like you don't have to be perfect because the thing is you don't have to be a nutrition freak because you are playing a lot. Like you're burning calories like crazy. So it's like it doesn't have to be crazy, but use your common sense. I don't know if that's common, but you know, like so like when you're eating like make sure this is what healthy would be. Where you got some protein, you got some vegetables, and some carbs. Like, so make sure that you have that in your meals the best that you can, and then if you do that foundational and drink your water or your BioSteel, and you have that foundation there, then you could sneak in throughout the weekend. You can have a pizza at night. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you, but don't have 40 pieces. Like, have a few pieces, slices of pizza, or you could sneak in a chocolate bar or a candy bar. It's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. But try to understand that you can't be an idiot about it. And then I think the other thing would be, like, I got two things that I would say after that is, make sure that you rest in between, but don't over rest. So what a lot of kids will do is, they'll go into the hotel rooms and they'll just lay around and watch movies, which is really good. But make sure that you get up and get a little walking in, and just make sure your blood's moving a little bit as well, so that you're not sleepy, like you're rested but awake, not just sleepy. Take a nap, all that stuff's fine. That'd be good. And then honestly, to me, is and I've said this before, but this is more of a mental thing, is understand while you're there, but don't make it bigger than what it is, and don't fluff it off. So it's like, again, I say this probably way too much, but it actually is true. Make sure that you can get in the moment. What I mean by that is, you're in a tournament. So what can happen is, mums, so this is for the parents too, right? Before the tournament, we can build it up to be bigger than what it is. You have a big tournament coming up. So if you say that to your kid, then they might hear it, they might not. But if they hear this one's big, that means big means more important, no? Right? So is it more important than the game you just played the other day? Not really. It's just another game. So if you can try to get that in the heads and say, like, every game is important, but every game is the same. Just some have more consequences, right? But every game should take the same preparation. Every game should be, don't make it bigger than it is, because then you start anticipating and you get in your own head, right? So if that preparation piece of staying like controlling what you control and staying present is huge. So you're not thinking too far ahead, and you're not dwelling on the past game. So it's just about, like, you stay present and control what you can control. And I think that is a skill in itself, because it's very easy to let it get away, right? Especially if you didn't have a good game in the tournament, or let's say you're a really good player from the southwestern Ontario region, and you're playing this team that's supposed to have these. Let's say Yako last year, Yako Wyzek, that played in Sun County, right? Plays for Guelph now, so he went second overall in the OHL draft. So when he's playing hockey last year, I don't know if it's in his head or it's not, but he knows that when he's going to play somebody, people are watching. So if he's playing against the Marlies or whatever, the Marlies, JRC, whatever it is that has the other good players, like, he's going to that game like he wants to compete against this guy. He wants to make sure that I'm better than him. So if you have a game where you maybe didn't get points, okay, that could be like from a good hockey player in a tournament, draft year, everyone's watching, you didn't have any points, and the guy that's, rated maybe significantly lower than you had 3 goals. Does that play with your head? So that's what I mean about being present, because if that kid, if Yako that day went back and said, I didn't have a good game, I got to get my head on my ass, or, that guy's actually pretty good, like, it could go sideways real quick. If you let that happen, that's not good. So that's why you play your game, you do your best, stay consistent in your preparation, how you do everything, and stay present.
That's a good point. Sorry to cut you off. That's a good point, because that was actually going to be the next thing I was going to flip into, is the mindset and, like, the resilience of being able to shake off, a bad play, a bad goal, whatever negative thing goes on, because it can easily turn into the whole weekend because of the time frame. So if you're a kid that it takes you 3 days to get over a bad play, the tournament's over. That means every game you were negatively affected by your own mindset, right? So you have to be able to bounce back and shake it off, because especially if at the higher levels, like what the levels we're talking about, if you're U16, U18, whatever, like, people are going to be there to watch, and you don't want one error, you don't want one mistake to turn into your whole weekend, because you're not able to mentally process what just happened. So if you take the extreme example with Yako, but it could be as easy as a guy fanning on a puck and they go down and score. If that yeah, right, shot off the shin pads, right? Like if that sticks with you and you can't figure out how to get through that or get over that, now that's turning into not one game, not 2 games, maybe it's 3 games, maybe it's the whole weekend, and now you've had a shit weekend because you weren't able to mentally get through that, right, and brush it off and recover. And so the time frame is important. And when things,
well, then add mom and dad.
well,
mom, dad, coach.
Yeah,
you got to be better than that.
Right. So
instead of stay present, shake it off, and that's what you have to like. This is the point all the time when you're dealing with players. I cut you off, and I'm sorry, but that's the thing when you're dealing with players, whether it's your son or you're a development coach or your parent. It's like, be careful what you say. Not that you have to have kitty gloves on, but like the message is, because like as we're talking about this, right? People forget like hockey's hard. And, you know, like when we watch my son play, my wife and I, I can bullshit here. I can lie to everybody and say, I just go and watch the game and whatever happens, happens. That's not true. I'm watching when number 23 jumps on the ice. And I know this for a fact. I like to say that I'm objective and I just watch the game, but I'm watching the game and number 23, I know everything he's done on that shift. Whereas if I watch another shift, you said, how was 11 on that shift? I didn't see him, right? I'm watching my son. So everything gets magnified. So you got to be careful how you react and talk to kids, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing I take super serious, even on the coaching side. So I had an example of this on the weekend. One of our kids, he took like questionable penalty and at a bad time, didn't need to take the penalty, and they scored. And I could see the kid, he comes off and he's all like poopy pants about it.
Did something.
Knew he did something
not optimal.
Wrong. And so like again, this is like another one of those situations where it'll come down to your coaching style, whatever. But for me, like this game's not that important in my life, right? Overall, this game's not that important. So do I come down on him and carve him and like tell him about how shit he is and how what he did was so wrong?
Yeah, you hurt the team.
Yeah, you hurt the team. Or do I look at the bench and say, okay, I don't really have time for you to be poopy pants about it. So shake it off and get back out there because we need to play, which is what I chose to do in that situation. So that's what I said to him. I could see on his face. I don't need to tell him again. Like he's good, man. I don't need to tell him again. So that's exactly what I did. I went and said to him, I was like, dude, we don't have time for this. I don't have time for you to sit here and be moping about the bad play that you just made, right? Go play. Shake it off and go play because we're in the middle of a game here, man. You know? Now, if it happens 6-7 times in a row, maybe my attitude towards it changes a little bit, but I'm trying to teach them, you know, and so there's opportunities where that stuff can happen. So it is very important that you're careful about how you're presenting the information to your kids when you're there, because then it starts to stick and now it's going to impact. And for a lot of these kids, like we talked about before, the U16s, U18s, it's feels so important. Every tournament feels really important. It feels like the scouts are there and people are watching and all this stuff. And it's like, do you want to add another potential negative to make them feel like they're not going to be able to perform because they're thinking about what dad said or thinking about what the coach said or whatever? Like, get them to brush it off so we can keep rolling. You know what I mean? So anything else on that before I go to my last one?
No, but like to wrap that all up too, is just like you don't want to change too much of your routines, right? That's why it's, when we go back to the basic first thing, when do you start sending messages as a coach or expectations and stuff like that? It starts early, but like they're little ones. Like, and the little ones are like, if you plant that seed that you can control and focus on now early, they don't get it at 7, 8, 9, 10. They don't. They might start and they might try or whatever, and then it goes away and then it comes back. You say, get your sleep and you plant the seeds over and over. Some point they're going to apply one thing and it works or it feels better. So I don't think it's ever too early to plant seeds. But it could be too early to have like crazy demands.
Yeah, it's always the balance of how you're presenting.
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, you teach them at a certain level that this is important now because we're all trying to get somewhere. We're trying to win as a team. We're representing this organization. And then at some point, the kids want to be hockey players or they don't. And then you also get the kids that it doesn't matter what you do, they're going to be better than everybody.
Yeah. Right.
So those are the lucky ones. But there's like 3 of them.
Well, so my last piece of it, I get this is kind of more for the players too, is when you get into the tournament situation, you always want to be ready for whatever the opportunity is that's coming because you don't know what's going to happen in the tournament. This is a big one.
time.
So this happened again. This is top of mind because it happened over the weekend. Wads, who's one of my top guys, very consistent, night in, night out. Know what I'm getting with him, and he's just awesome. Great player. Hurt. Now he's out. So he's a key penalty killer, key power play role, key 5-on-5 role, and so now that's available, right? So I said this to my guys again today. Like at the end, you had gotten off the ice, but
No, I heard you.
with the power play thing.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So you're on the ice. So
Yep.
I just said to them, like, be ready for opportunities because again, this is just my style too. And if coaches aren't like me, then that's fine. But my style, I'll change things quick. And I'm fortunate this year that our team's very deep, so I have options, you know. And so I said to them, like, some of the guys I could tell were like a little bit not super happy because they weren't on the power play. It's like, okay, you don't have to be happy that you're not on the power play by any means, but be ready for when something happens because something's going to happen. And on the weekend, Wads got hurt, and then I had Mikhail Gain, my Frenchman,
Yeah,
right?
Frenchie.
My French New Zealand Sudbury boy. he stepped up. He had a great weekend, and so now I have him in Jack's role while Jack's off. And then when Jack comes back in, I have to figure out what to do with that.
Jack
right?
might have to earn it back.
Jack might have to, and so this is what happens though in the tournament. So there was a hole. This kid stepped up, did a great job. Now he's getting more opportunity that he's earned because he was ready, whether he was intentionally ready or not, or he just happened to have a good weekend or whatever. The point is he was able to step up into a role that presented itself in real time during the weekend, and that's important. So when you're going into a weekend, especially if it's a big weekend for your team or you know that the coach is going to be a little bit tighter on the bench, which that's how I am. And if you're not a guy that I have put in one of those go-to positions, let's say, you want to make sure that you're ready because if the opportunity comes, which it will, because in 4 games, in 5 games, in 6 games, someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to get suspended, someone's going to who knows what. And I need somebody to be able to go. Who's the person that's going to be able to go? You know, and that was kind of my last piece for the players.
Yeah. Well, what I just loved about that is like, so Frenchie is a great kid and he's a good player, but he's not the guy that like Wadsy where he's going through people.
Yeah, he's not
like,
jumping off the page.
He's a solid guy that you're going to plug in. So, number one, and this is a huge lesson here. It's like when you're on a team, number one, what you were just saying about power play and they were competing, they didn't know they were competing. But as a hockey player, when you actually become a hockey player, not playing for the Pee Wee Selects or a spring tournament all-star team, once you're playing for a hockey team, talking junior, where coaches get paid and winning is a thing. That's what real hockey is. Where coach, where you with minor hockey, if you play a team right now, there's only so much video you can do with your team, and you can only break it apart so much. But when you play for the Guelph Storm, Guelph Storm's playing the Kitchener Rangers, they know exactly what is going to happen because I can watch hours of video on every kid and how you guys behave or play on the ice. So there's all the shutdown stuff, and you know it's studied so much that there's no surprises really. And if there is, it's like it gets fixed real quick because people are watching. So you're always competing for a spot, always. Like your spot is there to win. You go to earn a spot, or you lose a spot. So what you did in your practice today is you basically told them like, okay, you guys earn this. But that's where every practice should be. And if mom and dad don't like that, that's sorry.
Well, so I'm going to say what I did just because I didn't say it explicitly what I did. So like I have 2 power play units right now, which this is like last weekend was the first time where I like set 2 units. Up until this point, it's been like everybody's kind of going. So now I'm starting to like set them because that's real life. That's what's going to happen when you play hockey. So what I would consider my first unit based on what I put down, like those would be the guys I would select to go first. They got outplayed today in practice by what I would consider my second unit. Outplayed. So now going into tomorrow, my second unit's now my first unit. My first unit's my second unit. And I'm going to be looking to make a change because if my second unit, what is now my second unit, in my mind, is not delivering, I need to change something so that we'll be successful. Because I know I got a group of hungry kids that want those spots that I'm going to try. So I was telling them, like, you guys aren't safe. You're not safe.
I loved it
Like
too.
if you think that you're my go-to guy right now, that's fine, but you have to keep earning that. You have to earn that privilege to be the guy that I keep sending out. If you don't do it, I'm going to change it. I will change it, you know? And so everybody knows that. Everyone knows that's my style, and that's helpful because there's no shocks. Like everything's out in the open of what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking about things. And so that's what happened today. It was practice. It was not a game. It was practice.
But it was awesome.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff is important.
But they were awesome.
And they seem to respond well, and they know that that's my style, and that's what's helpful. So that's what's going to happen though. You get into those tournament situations where somebody drops off for whatever reason, suspended, 10-minute penalty that they have to sit out for, whatever. Someone's got to go, and that's why, like, I even tell the guys, like, if you're not going, like, you better know the routes, you better know what you're supposed to do in this situation if you want to go, right?
So that's what was my next point, is that he was sitting in that room every time he did power play, even though he wasn't on that power play. He obviously learned both power plays, and he stepped into one spot, which probably would have, because he knew that so well when he stepped in without being on it, he probably knew all 5 spots that he could have been taken. So that means when you were talking, he was listening. And you didn't ask everybody to listen, because you could do it to another guy and they say, okay, so which guy am I and what do I do? Am I going, 5 questions and fix it? He was ready. So that goes back to something that I've said. I said it to my son, and I've said it to players that I train when they get off to the OHL. One of the most important things you can understand is that you aren't given anything. You aren't. Some people have a longer leash, but you're not given it. So my 2 words are earn and learn. Learn and earn and learn, whatever you want it. So you have to understand, as we said, you get to earn your way on a power play, or you earn your way off, right? You earn your coach's trust. Everything is earned. And some people say, well, some people, it's a different level of earning. And yeah, that's true. But, and like you said, in tournaments and stuff, if someone gets injured or suspended or something, that's your chance to earn that spot. Take it, even though you're best friends, right? And the other important thing is, like, you go in there, you want to earn everything and learn everything. And those are just words when they're words. When it came down to what you said about Mikkel, is he was ready. So that meant he sat there and he learned. So he sat in the classroom, he sat on the board. He didn't just, this doesn't apply to me. I bet you if you said, okay, let's go to this face-off route or this, whatever, he's got the answer. He knows exactly what it is. He's read your playbook, right? And that's a huge attribute, because there's many people that they just were fortunate enough to have the talent to be on the first unit, and you had patience at the beginning. This guy had to grind a little bit, learn and study and work to get the opportunity, and awesome for him. And that's what I always say: earn and learn, earn and learn, earn and learn. And if you understand that, you're always earning, especially when you're a hockey player, when you're playing junior, playing college, playing pro. Nothing's given to you, because at the end of the day, playing for a coach that he has to feed his family, or this is his dream, it's his job. He's got to make the decision. He doesn't give you a leash like, oh yeah, well, that's okay. I know you're trying.
Yeah, cool. That was basically it. Like, I could get into like a little more nitty gritty, but I feel like that covers most of the things. Anything else? Key tournament stuff to talk about?
Good. I thought you did a good job with your podcast today. I think you're doing a great job with your team. I think you're doing a great job. Everything that you're doing here, I'm proud of everything that we're doing. And sorry, I don't probably tell you that enough. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, we'll cut it there. See you next week.